Hello, good evening, Facebook. This is attorney Stacy Shaw. I'm actually at the hairdresser, but I wanted to make sure that I was timely for my live class today. So it's been a long time since I've gone live, a super long time, especially for Stacy Shaw Knows the Law. If you've not been listening to 103 Jams every Tuesday at 7:53, you are missing out. Today we went over different kind of insurance coverages, and I had a little bit of surprise. We're going over uninsured motorist coverage and underinsured motorist coverage. You never really think about it because it's kind of nerdy. It's a kind of a nerdy topic, and it's not super interesting until you get into a car wreck. Hey, Jen Sunshine, thanks so much for tapping in with us. We are talking about uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. So if you are driving a car, you need to make sure that's insured. Okay, you need to make sure that the car that you are driving has insurance. And if you are not sure, or if you're just always borrowing people's cars, you can get non-owners insurance. And I've personally had non-owners insurance when I was renting cars and going out of town. And it is super cheap. It's like 60 to 70 bucks a month. And you are going to be covered in any car that you drive. So if you are driving a car, it's going to be super important to have it insured. Now, I would check the coverages, and I actually did that myself because I got insurance online with Progressive. Didn't go through an agent. Very unusual for me, but I wanted to make sure that my car is insured, and I had gotten a new car, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to try it out online. Hey, Kermit Smith Robinson, thanks for tapping in with us for Stacy Shaw Knows the Law on Facebook Live. And so back to the story. So of course I bought my insurance with Progressive online, and I looked, and it did not have all of the insurance coverages that I thought that I paid for. And so uninsured motorist coverage, that is when you are not, you're in a car accident with someone that is not insured. So somebody hits you and they try to run off because they don't have insurance in their car. Okay, so that instance, your uninsured motorist coverage would cover your damages in an accident. That's super important because a lot of times you may be injured, you may have medical bills, you may have damage to your car, and so uninsured motorist coverages, depending on the type of coverage, because Progressive is super, I don't know what kind of time they're on, but when I signed up for it, you had to individually check every single thing. And so it turns out that uninsured motorist coverage, it may only cover bodily injury. And so if you are in a car accident with someone that does not have a car and you don't have comprehensive and collision damage, you may, depending on your insurance coverage, be paying for that yourself. Okay, so it's really important to check your insurance coverage declaration page. And if you have a question, you can always contact your insurance agent or the insurance company. And so uninsured motorist coverage, that is automatically in the insurance that you buy in the state of Missouri. It's a required coverage for every single policy to have. And so you don't have to worry about uninsured motorist coverage when it comes to bodily injury. Now, when it comes to vehicle damage, that may be a different story. So make sure you check out your declaration page and call your insurance company to double check. Now, I went to my Progressive app because I was going over this on the radio, and my case manager asked me, well, what is the difference in the cost between having the underinsured coverage on your policy and not having it? I went to go look just to investigate myself, and they did not have it on my policy. They did not have the coverage on my policy. So I've got to go and check Progressive, and I know that's a coverage that I intended to get. So it's really important that you check your declarations. Now, what is underinsured? Underinsured means that the person has insurance, but they may not have enough insurance to cover your damages. This is especially important when you have catastrophic injuries. So I've had clients that have maybe $100,000 worth of medical bills, and the other party only has $25,000 worth of insurance. That's not even going to cover the medical bills. And that definitely not pain and suffering, lost wages or anything like that. So it's really important when you have a policy that you get underinsured motorist coverage. It's generally not that much more. It may be like $15 a month or $20 a month more for you to have that coverage. But if you do get into a car accident and the other person doesn't have insurance, it could be a game changer. Shout out to Danny Monroe. You know what? #1 Facebook fan. What's up, Danny Monroe? Thanks so much for tapping in. I've got Bryant Fees Ellis also watching. Thanks so much for tapping in. I've not seen you on Facebook Live, so thanks for joining us for the first time. And we are talking about insurance coverage, and nobody ever wants to worry about it until they get into an accident, and it makes a huge difference. And so if you have underinsured or uninsured motorist coverage, then that is your own policy. So that is really insurance that you are carrying for yourself if you get into a car accident. Hey, Craig Simply. You know what? LaDonna. Craig Simply's on the Facebook Live. I'm actually here with LaDonna Adams, who is my hairdresser. If y'all can't tell, I'm getting my hair done, but I wanted to make sure that I was timely with Facebook Live. And so shout out to my stylist, LaDonna. Shout out to Craig Simply, who is a volunteer long time with the No Joy Foundation. Thanks so much for tapping in. And we are talking about insurance coverages. So uninsured motorist coverage, again, that's if somebody does not have insurance at all. Underinsured is if they have some insurance, but they don't have enough. And so I know that we have about 5 people or so that have tapped in. If you guys have questions, the best thing that you can do is always leave a comment, and I answer them right on the screen. So while we're on Facebook Live, it's a great time to ask questions. We've got Shanna Lee on the line. Thanks so much for tapping in as well. Make sure you share, like, and comment. All of this information is totally free, and I get these questions and these topics because I answer the phone when you all call into the law office, and I handle cases as the attorney in my law office myself, and I have these issues when I come across cases. So when we're trying to get a recovery for a client in a personal injury case, policy limits are everything, especially if someone doesn't have enough insurance when they have caused the accident. Hey, Lucy Roberts, thanks so much for tapping in. Remember, please like, share, and comment so as many people as possible can get this free educational content, because it would make a huge difference. And so while we're talking about insurance and car accidents, #1 thing, if you are in a car accident, don't admit fault. Okay? I've gone over that multiple times because you may not know if you're at fault. Okay? You may be confused. And then anything that you say against you could be used against you if you have to take that case to court, or if they're making a liability determination. And if there's a question about liability, they could use your words against you. Hey, Lucy, we have also Desiree Smith. Okay, so first thing, never admit fault in a car accident. Okay, that's a legal conclusion. Okay, unless you've done the legal analysis at the screen on the scene, do not say that you're at fault. #2, make sure that you take pictures of the accident, your car, the other person's car, and especially the road conditions, and as much as of the scene as possible. That's going to be really important in case you don't hire an attorney in time, or in case there has to be a trial and you need accident reconstruction. Those pictures are going to be super important, because a lot of times with accidents that don't include a fatality, there's not an accident reconstruction that's done. And so by the time you call an attorney, which may be the next day or the day after that, everything at the scene is pretty much cleaned away. And the only evidence of what that scene looked like at the time are going to be your pictures. And so that's super important. And then as we're talking about insurance, and this has happened to me, somebody hit my car and then ran off. But you know what I did? I followed my own advice, and I took a picture of their license plate. Okay, took a picture of their license plate and was able to run their tag and found out who it was. Okay, so we've got 2 things. 1, never admit fault. And 2, make sure that you take pictures of your car, the other car, and the pictures of the scene. Great, we've got Faith Hope and Ashley OG on the line. And Faith, has a great question. Thanks so much for asking. What is gap? Okay, so gap insurance, and that's a great question. If you have a car loan, so say that you are paying off a car. Sometimes what your car, the totaled value of your car and what you actually own the car is different because they try to play you. Okay, they're going to play every single time that they can. All right, the insurance company is going to say, well, because your car is 3 years old, even though you're on a 5-year note, your car is depreciated and is only worth $10,000. But you may owe $15,000 on the car. And so what gap insurance does, it takes care of the gap between what the value of the car is that you're going to be paid after it's totaled. So the value of the car versus what you owe on the car, and it ensures that difference. And so if you are paying payments on a car, you definitely want gap insurance because you don't want to have your car totaled, so you have no car, and then you also owe money on the note because the bank wants the rest of their money that they loaned you to buy the car. And so gap insurance is super important. And so make sure that you have gap insurance. Now, I had a case once where they were paying off a car, and the car lending company had their own insurance policy on the car. Okay, so they had their own equivalent of collision and comprehensive, so full coverage insurance just on the car. And so what happened, the person, because they thought that there was full coverage insurance, full coverage means liability plus comprehensive collision coverage. Comprehensive means like if a tree falls on your car in a hailstorm, that's comprehensive coverage. Collision coverage means if you get into a car accident, then your insurance covers the damage to the car when you get into a car accident with another person. And so they were thinking that, oh, full coverage means I've got liability, comprehensive, and collision. No, you don't. If the car note company has insurance, that is only to insure their asset, which is the car. It does not cover liability, which is your liability to the other person that you hit, and it does not cover your personal bodily injury. And so we're talking about, so that's a great question. Faith, thanks so much for asking me that, because a lot of people get tripped up when they're looking at insurance coverages. And my testimony, my testimony was that I bought my own insurance through Progressive, and I thought that I got underinsured coverage, but I did not. Okay, so I've got to call, I'm going to call Yolanda Bush. I already called her. I said, Yolanda, I can't do it by myself. All right, I'm going to have a professional set me up with insurance because I tried to do it once on my own and I did not do a good job. And so I always suggest now, if you're getting insurance for the first time with an insurance company and it's a brand new policy to that insurance company, that you have an insurance agent do that for you. Okay, so call the insurance agent, tell them what coverage you need. You want uninsured and underinsured insurance. And if you have a car note, make sure you have gap insurance to make sure that your bases are covered if you are in an accident. That's super important. Now, we did have a question about the gap insurance. Here's where that gets tricky, especially if somebody else runs into you. And so you're not at fault. You don't have gap insurance, and their policy does not cover your car. And so how insurance companies get you, they try to get you, they will say, okay, you have a used car. It was, before it was wrecked, it was in fair condition, and this is the fair market value of the car. They aren't giving you replacement value for your car. They are going to try to give you the fair market value. Okay, so if they say that if your fair market value is $10,000, you owe $15,000 on the car, then because somebody else hit you, you are going to have to either sue them for the difference. Okay, so take them to court and try to get more than a fair market value. Maybe you won't get it, and maybe you'll get tied up, or there's going to be a difference between what you're going to, the check that you receive for the total car and what you're going to owe to the car note company. And so it's really important for you to protect yourself. That's what really insurance is for, is to mitigate your financial risk in the case of catastrophe. Okay, so Nicole D. Martin is watching. Thanks so much. Devoya Marshall is watching. Devoya Marshall is watching. Thanks so much for tapping in. And if you guys can tell, I get my hair done. Shout out to LaDonna Adams, my hairstylist, longtime friend, and my prayer partner. Okay, and so if you guys did not catch the radio show today, every single Tuesday, 7:53, Stacy Shaw is the law on 103 Jams. I did two things. I talked about uninsured motorist coverage, underinsured motorist coverage, and I gave the Bible quote of the week. And so that's something new that I'm doing this year. In the past, maybe 4 or 5 years that I've been doing that show, I've had Peace on Tuesdays. I've had Do an Act of Love on Tuesdays. But really, you know, we're clowning in this city. Like last year was a record number of homicides. I mean, the only thing that can help that is God. So every single week, I'm giving you all a Bible passage that I've personally read that I think would be super helpful for you. And the one that we talked about today was 2 Kings, verse 12, 1 through 19. And that's off the top of my head. And so, you know what? Hopefully it's the right one because I gave it on air today. But 2 Kings chapter 12, 1 through 19. And so go and check that out for your family. I actually shared that with my sister so she could share it with my nieces in St. Louis. So shout out to Jennifer, Sydney, Lauren, and Jordan. Okay, because that Bible passage was for them. And it really talks about the benefit of having wise counsel, especially for young people. Because young people don't like to listen to older people. They just don't. For some reason, they know everything. And so in this particular case, it was the son of Solomon. As he was becoming king, the people of Israel came to Solomon, and they said, the son of Solomon. I can't pronounce the name, so I'm just saying Solomon's son. Okay? That's what we're going to do. And they came to him, and they said, you know, if you lighten the yoke that Solomon had on our necks, then we will serve you forever. And he said, okay, give me 3 days to think about it, and then I'll get back to you. And so the first person that Solomon's son went to, he went to a group of elders that counseled his dad, okay, Solomon. And they said, you know, speak kindly to the people and lighten the yoke on them, and they will serve you forever. Then he said, you know what, okay, that sounds good. But he went to his friends, the princes that he grew up with, and he asked them the same thing. And the princes were like, what? They said to lighten the yoke that your dad said. No, tell them that you are going to make the yoke heavier than your dad. You're going to tax them even more. And since your dad disciplined them with whips, you will discipline them with scorpions. And so for some reason, he thought that was the better decision. Okay. Probably wasn't the smart thing. Actually was not the smartest thing, because there were 12 tribes of Israel. And he lost 10 of the 12 tribes. They revolted and left. Okay, so then he was only left with 2 tribes. Listening to young folks. That's what happens instead of listening to wise counsel. Now, some young folks can be wise counsel, but that's a really great story to share with your children, especially as they're making friends with, at school, because some of them don't make good friend choices, and their friends get them in trouble. And so that's a really good lesson about the value of having good friends and wise counsel. So we have Sabrina Terhune, Janae Green, Brigitte Berry is on here. Thanks so much for tuning in. We were doing 2 things. We were talking about uninsured motorist coverage, underinsured motorist coverage, why that makes a difference in a personal injury accident case. And I just gave you all the quote of the week that I talked about on 103 Jams this morning, which is 2 Kings chapter 12, verse 1 through 19. Y'all can, in the background, start fact checking to make sure that that's the right quote, because again, I'm getting my hair done, so I don't have it in front of me. But I wanted to make sure that I got a chance to share more information about uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. So the next part that we're going into is how all of this comes into play when you have a car accident. So I already said the first 2 things that you all should do when you have a car accident. Never admit fault, okay? Because you don't know if you have fault or not, okay? Hey, Renee Miller, thanks for checking in. Second part is, so one, don't admit fault. Number two, take pictures of the entire scene. That's super important because that may be the only evidence of what the scene looked like at the time of the accident. The third thing, make sure after you've taken a picture of the license plate that you exchange insurance information with the other party. Hopefully they have insurance, right? Because you're going to want to file an insurance claim. Now, when you file an insurance claim, you're just going to file the claim. You're not going to give a statement, okay? You're not going to talk to the other insurance company because they're not your friends. They don't want to pay you any money. They want to get out of paying you money. So you don't want to talk to them, okay? And so tell them, hey, I'm going to hire a lawyer. Now, people say, oh, I'm so good. I can do my own case. I don't need a lawyer. Okay, go on with your bad self. Now, in cases where people have lawyers, they're able to recover a lot more money. Sometimes 30 more percent, sometimes 50 more percent. I know that when my clients come to me after they've tried to handle their own case, the insurance company was talking about giving them $500, $1,500, okay? And so they are not your friend. They're not going to treat you fairly. And a lot of times they do not tell you all the types of coverages or all the types of recovery that you can have. One, of course, is medical expenses. Lost wages. A lot of people don't realize any out-of-pocket expenses. Okay, you are reimbursed for that 100%. If you've got to take Ubers, done. Okay, if you've got to get a knee brace, also 100% reimbursed. So anything that you come out of pocket, you are going to be reimbursed at 100%. The only exception to that is medical bills. A lot of times they discount certain things with medical bills, and then your attorney has to fight to get all of your medical bills covered. Okay, and so especially when they're talking about procedures like MRIs or other type of more expensive procedures, they're always trying to figure out a way to get out of paying you for that. A lot of times people don't realize that if they are unable to do certain tasks or they're unable to do certain hobbies, that they can be compensated for that. A really great example is one of my clients was a bowler. She bowled in a league and she got into a car accident. She had injuries to her chest, and because she had injuries to her chest and had to have surgery, she had to buy special bowling equipment. That was like over $1,000 worth of special bowling equipment. And she lost out on tournament play, which usually, because she's a really good bowler, that she would normally win money during these tournaments. And so I made the insurance company compensate her at 100% for that bowling equipment. Okay, so they paid her back for the special bowling equipment, and they also had to compensate her for the loss of enjoyment of participating in bowling tournaments and the reasonable loss of income because she couldn't participate in bowling tournaments for a year. And so it's really important when you're in a car accident not to negotiate with the insurance company yourself, because anything you say as a person that is potentially a party in a suit can be used against you. But things that your lawyer says can't be used against you because it's in contemplation of negotiating a settlement. Okay, and so settlement discussions with the insurance company and an attorney can't be brought up in court. But anything that you say as a person that is possibly going to file a lawsuit can be used against you. That's why you don't make personal statements to the insurance company. You don't talk to adjusters, and you definitely don't tell them about the accident unless you talk to an attorney first. Okay, so we have had a really good time. Thank you so much for asking questions. We had a really great question from Faith Hope about gap insurance. And again, gap insurance covers the amount that you've lost between what you owe a car note company and the fair market value of your car that is going to be reimbursed to you by the other insurance company. Okay, so until next time, remember on Tuesday, 7:53 on KPRS, I am on Stacy Shaw Knows the Law, and I am talking about all different kinds of legal issues that when I answer the phone, I actually listen to these issues from clients. And so make sure to check me out on Tuesdays at 7:53. You can also go to kprs.com for past episodes. And you can check me out online at stacyshawlaw.com. All social media at Stacy Shaw Law. And you can give me a call, and I'm the person that answers the phone at 816-359-1877. And today, remember, the verse of the week was 2 Kings, chapter 12, verses 1 through 19. And until next time, good luck and stay in God's blessings.